I've been in the book business for 2 decades, and over that time I've met a lot of wonderful, smart people, and I'm pleased to say that 5 of those book industry colleagues are assembled here on this stage to discuss the often frustrating industry that we love. Next week in New York City, people from all corners of the book industry will gather at Book Expo America, the annual book convention, to discuss every aspect of the industry. I suspect many of the topics you hear about today will be the same subjects discussed in New York next week. So please sit back as we offer you and the C-SPAN viewers an exciting chance to see behind the curtain of the powers that determine what you'll be reading in the future. The moderator of this panel is journalist Michael Norris. Michael is a senior analyst at the book research firm Simba Information and the editor of Book Publishing Report. So without further ado, I'll turn things over to Michael. Enjoy the panel.
Thank you very much, Gene. My name is Michael Norris, and I am a senior analyst from Simba Information. And with me today is Mark LaFramboise from the legendary Politics and Prose independent bookstore, Jed Lyons, the president and CEO of Rowman Littlefield and head of the National Book Network, Geoff Shandler, the editor-in-chief at Little Brown and Company, and Gail Ross, the president and founder of the Ross Yoon Literary Agency. Before I do a truly good job introducing everyone, I just wanted to start off with a few words. I've been studying the publishing industry for about 7 years now, and it's actually a pretty long time if you think about everything that's happened in just the past 3.5. But over the past 7 years or so, I've watched a lot of changes going on in terms of not just what is being said about the future of books, but actually also who's actually talking about it. Because over the years, a lot of newspapers have really scaled back their coverage of books, and I can't think of a single paper off the top of my head that has scaled back their coverage of the tech industry or the technology industry. So a lot of what we're seeing in just the day-to-day press either comes from the view and the lens of a tech columnist, or it actually comes from the marketing department of a multi-billion-dollar organization that really has a big financial stake in the future of books. So it's actually very important to remember that if someone has a future that is completely and 100% tied up in ebooks, they're going to tell you that the future of the book and the state of the book is all about ebooks. Now, in order to try to separate the rhetoric from the reality, Simba Information, along with our parent company, MarketResearch.com, we put together a nationally representative U.S. consumer survey, and we wanted to go to the entire U.S. adult population, basically ask, who's buying these things anyway? Do you buy ebooks? What devices do you, on which do you read? How many books do you buy, and so forth? And over the 3-year period we've been collecting this data, and we've actually recently begun collecting it quarterly for our Trade eBook Publishing 2011 report, we found that about 90% of the U.S. adult population hasn't bought a single solitary digital book, not a single ebook. And we also found out, because we asked print book questions in these surveys, that print book buyers still outnumber ebook buyers about 5 to 1. And the other thing that we found out, actually this was kind of interesting, is that with everything that's been said about some of the new devices that are out there, such as the iPad, we found about 40% of all iPad owners in the US haven't read a single solitary ebook on the iPad. So it's, once you actually have a lot of independent and objective information about the book industry, you think you can talk about the state of the book. And rather than doing that, I just want to talk about the state of one book. And this is a book that I bought about 6 weeks ago. I was at the London Book Fair, and I was just walking across this massive exhibition hall, and I just saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. It was a very large black wall, which is the side of a publisher's booth, and on the wall were all of these photographs of 2-foot by 3-foot photographs of really old and nice-looking bicycles. And if you spend more than 5 minutes with me outside of books, you'll know I'm really into bicycles. And I saw these signs, and I just thought to myself, wow, this is just an incredible book. I saw it was called Cyclopedia. I knew nothing about the book. I didn't know where it was published. I didn't know what kind of book it was. I just knew that I had to have it. And I made up my mind at that very moment that I was not going to leave London without this book. And I know you're all wondering, but yes, I was able to get the book. I came in to the fair the next day. I was able to get it. And this book is about this large this thick. It's a very, very heavy book, and I had to carry it around with me the whole rest of the day because I never made it back to my hotel. But I was really, really grateful to do that because the book is literally so gorgeous. I'm thinking about building a coffee table just to go with it. Now, so when we discuss the future of the book, we really can't build it on anything that Steve Jobs holds over his head at Macworld. Because at the end of the day, you're not framing and creating content or telling a story to a device that's going to be declared obsolete in 11 months. The future of the book, regardless of the format or how it's distributed, it really has to do with selling one book at a time to one person at a time and really making the book have so much value that somebody like myself did at the London Book Fair will not care about any price barriers or any content barriers in order to get it. And we're always going to have print books forever. You can write that down and I'll sign my name under it. We will have print books forever, but we're also going to have ebooks forever. And the future of the book is going to involve all of us talking about where one stands in relation to the other and how we can get innovative and intelligent people to really talk about ways to make the industry better. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first panelist. Jed Lyons. He is the president and CEO of Rowman and Littlefield Publishing Group. Rowman and Littlefield publishes about 1,200 new books annually under the imprints Rowman and Littlefield, Scarecrow Press, Lexington Books, Altamira Press, Derrydale Press, Government Institutes, Taylor Trade, and others. Jed also serves as CEO of National Book Network, a distributor of 200 independent publishers, which Rowman and Littlefield launched in 1986. Jed graduated from Bowdoin College in 1974 and is a member of the Chief Executives Organization, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the chapter of Washington National Cathedral. Jed, welcome.
Thank you. Well, I've often heard the book business referred to as the accidental profession. And when I first got into the business 36 years ago, I asked why, and the reason I heard is that there's really no way to prepare to be a publisher. You can't, well, at least in those days, you couldn't go and get a degree in publishing. You can now get even master's degrees in publishing, but the accidental profession is how it's been known for a long time. So if you'll indulge me for a moment, I thought I would tell you my accidental experience. So, like my guess is most of us in the book business, I was an English major. But it started in high school with a fabulous teacher at a suburban high school outside of Chicago called Barrington High School, where in the 1960s I was lucky enough to have a fantastic dead poets type English teacher named Charlie White. And in this gigantic public high school outside of Chicago, Charlie would show up every day wearing a tweed jacket, paisley ascot, long beard, long hair, and he was our hero. And he was everything we wanted to be. So he got us interested in reading and writing. Most of us had never had any interest in it at all. But we were very lucky to have a guy like him inspire us. So after high school, literally the day after I graduated, I hitchhiked around the country to visit all of my favorite authors' haunts. I started off at Concord, Massachusetts at Walden Pond. I spent a week dodging all the park rangers because I didn't realize Walden Pond is now a public park, but I spent a week trying to commune with Henry David Thoreau. Then I hitchhiked down to New London, Connecticut, and I found the bar where Eugene O'Neill wrote The Iceman Cometh, and even one of the bartenders. From there I went down to see Thomas Wolfe's haunts, Look Homeward Angel, then out to Taos, New Mexico, because I was a big D.H. Lawrence fan at the time, and actually met D.H. Lawrence's widow. He had married late in life, he'd married a much younger woman. She was still living in Taos. So by now you can imagine I've got a full head of steam after a summer of visiting all these famous authors' homes. And